Welcome to episode 5 of the Canucks Abroad interview series in partnership with Northern Starting 11. Joining me from Liverpool, England, Liam Millar. Liam, how are you doing? Thanks so much for taking the time to come on this call.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, doing well. Tell me a little bit about what are players doing to stay fit, to stay busy, and what kind of challenges you have to go through in a time like this that it is the COVID-19 situation.
Well, at Liverpool right now, we have a weekly program. Every day we have kind of like the same kind of routine, where we have like pre-activation stretching, some running, some ball work, and some gym work that we do every day. So they're helping us keep fit and stay on top of our kind of fitness and stuff. So whenever we do end up going back, we're ready and we're fit and we're like kind of good enough to kind of go straight into it without having to do much extra fitness work. We're like, if we do go back into it, we're not going to have enough time to do like a full preseason. We're just going to have to try and, get up to speed kind of as fast as possible. So yeah, just staying fit and just trying to do the best I can. So.
Does the team have like weekly, daily meetings?
Yeah, like every gym session, every like pre-activation session. It's all done on Zoom. It's all like a call. So like all the coaches are on there, all the players are on, and like we have a coach leading the session, and we all follow what he does, and all the other coaches watch. So if there is any news, we get told when we're in the session. But so far, not too much news that I'm aware of what's going on. But yeah.
And as far as playing on the pitch, does the team kind of rent out, not rent out, but use the training facility to kind of have, a select group of players at a time?
Not at the moment. We're not doing that right now. I think that probably could be in the plan soon, but for right now, we're all just being told to stay as far away. If we have to, kick the ball around in public parks and just try and, just kind of be as safe as possible, really, and do everything alone, not with any other teammates, just trying to kind of, isolate ourselves away from everyone and just stay fit,
Right,
so.
The UK hasn't entered that phase yet. Liam, you're a 1999 player. You're 20 years old. For someone your age, you have quite the lengthy resume. This series is all about telling player stories. How did you get started in the sport, and what was your development like in grassroots with Brampton and North Mississauga?
Yeah, obviously I started playing when I was around 3 years old. Played for Brampton, just like a little kind of pee-wee kind of league, when I was. I played for Brampton until I was probably until I went to Rep, to be honest. Played for Brampton and my dad was the coach the whole time when I was young, and then I went to around 7 or 8. I was at my coach at the time was Rob Sterling. I remember very clearly. And I went there, and we just and when I was young, I was always half deep. I just liked it because I just liked playing the sport and just having fun and just kicking the ball around, because that's all I wanted to do when I was a kid. And then I was at North Miss until I was 12. And then obviously I got to move over to Fulham, and story tells itself from there. But yeah, I've been interested in football kind of like all my life. There's a video of me when I was a kid, when I was literally probably like a year old. My dad has it somewhere on a camera or something, of my little brother who was just born basically, and just kind of learning how. I remember the first thing I did is when I saw him is that we were kicking the ball around, and both of us can barely walk. And I just remember the first thing I did to him, I just live tackled him, and my parents were laughing, and I just kept doing it over and over and over and over again. And my parents were like, "Oh, I guess he likes playing soccer," so they kind of just stuck me in and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was kind of fun.
All right. And is there any kind of a cultural background?
Yeah, like my dad used to play a little bit. My grandfather used to play. Like my whole family kind of played soccer. My mom used to play hockey and baseball back in the day. So it's a very sporty family. So yeah, everyone used to play kind of thing. So it was just kind of like, let's see if he likes it, and I ended up liking it. So.
Right, very athletic family. You mentioned Fulham. Before going over the UK, you had a trial with Toronto FC. You were released from that trial because of your size. Historically speaking, many players, particularly forwards, in your position have been told that that their size was a challenge. How did that kind of shape you as a footballer, and did that moment led to you to move abroad in pursuit of playing professional football?
Yeah, I remember the tryouts, and I made it to the last tryout that they had there, and I didn't think that by any means necessary I was the worst player there at all. I didn't hit my growth spurt until I was maybe 13, 14 when I really started. But when I was there, I was really small, and all the kids were a lot bigger than me. It was hard, at times, because you gave out the ball because you have bigger kids than you there. But yeah, I don't think I was the worst player there at all. And I remember when my dad got the phone call from the guy saying, I got released, and I remember I was on the highway, I was on the 407, and my dad told me what happened, and I was devastated. I cried a lot. Because that's kind of all I wanted. That's kind of all I wanted when I was a kid, is to just be a professional. So the fact that I got released, it really like kind of let me down and all that stuff. But fair play to my dad, because my dad helped me a lot through that. He told me stories about David Beckham and other players like that who got released because of their size, all that kind of stuff, and went on to do great things. That really motivated me to keep going and trying to pursue this career. And I got lucky enough as it is to be able to be where I am today because of opportunities and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I do think it motivated me to become a professional, because I wanted to prove them wrong.
Absolutely. And how different would it have been if you did sign with the academy, right? Perhaps you could be on a first team homegrown contract. But obviously your dad, he played as a professional for Charlton Athletic. I'm guessing moving abroad, life in England, did it make the transition easier, that having you mentioned your dad, maybe him having known the country and having connections in the football world over there?
Yeah, of course. My dad, he did play for Charlton, and he got and he obviously knew England, especially London, where I was going. So he kind of helped kind of settle and kind of know what we're doing while we're there. But yeah, like obviously when you move to a different country, there's some challenges, and it's hard to adjust to everything. Like for example, like when me and my dad moved there, we were in a little one bedroom apartment when we were there. Where I just went from a decent sized house in Brampton, and now I'm in a one bedroom apartment. So it was kind of hard. We had to take the train everywhere. We didn't have a car. We had to do all this kind of things. And my dad living there before, it obviously helped us, because he knew kind of like the train lines a little bit, and kind of like where to go and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it helped with the transition. So
Quite the change from moving from outside the suburbs of Toronto to London proper, right? I mean, it's such a massive city. But you trial there in the UK. Let's talk about that. You end up at Fulham. How many clubs did you trial with? And you trialed with Fulham. That's where you ended up. You spent there 4 years, from the age of 12 to 16. Did you have any nerves at all? If you can kind of recap that week or the days that followed.
yeah, when I got scouted, I'll go through that first. When I got scouted, my dad coached the '97 North Mississauga back when I lived in Canada, and his team got invited over to the Kiel Cup and I remember just everything my dad used to do with his coaching, with him playing, just like house league kind of like stuff at home. I used to always go, and he used to always want to be involved. My dad brought me with him to the tournament there in the Kiel Cup, and I got fortunate enough that a team my age needed a player. It wasn't any English team. It was New York who requested to the tournament as my dad was in the office that they needed. And my dad said, I'm here to, I got stuff to play if needed. And they said, yeah, sure, come along. So I ended up scoring 16 goals in 4 games in that tournament, and it was ridiculous. And I remember just being, I remember Stoke City, like under 11s or 12s or whatever, just cheering me on from the sideline as I remember feeling like the top of the world then. And when I was there, I had Fulham, Stoke, and West Brom come in and offer me a tryout. And obviously, I didn't know anything about the academy system or anything back then, so I just looked at the Premier League table and who was the highest in the table, and Fulham were the highest there. So I chose to go to first, and I was there for a week. And the coach said to me, if you're serious about moving over and serious about pursuing it, come back and I'll give you a proper 6-week trial. So obviously I went home and, I got my passport, I got everything I needed to live there, and I went back there in January of 2013. And 2 weeks into my 6-week trial, they offered me a contract. And that's kind of just how it kind of came along there, and my whole journey kind of progressed, I guess.
And then you obviously transfer over to Liverpool. How did it happen? How did you end up there?
From 12 to 16, obviously, and I was developing a lot over the years, and I was getting better and better and better. And under 16s was probably my best year. I was there at Fulham, and I was scoring loads of goals. I think I scored 60 goals. And I had a couple clubs that were coming in for me. And then at the very end, when I was kind of choosing, Liverpool came in randomly because we had a friendly game, and I ended up scoring 2 goals against Fulham. And after that game, they said they were interested in me, and they kind of and I kind of went there and I had a look around the academy, and I realized how much of a family club it was, how beautiful the club actually was. And I went there and I never really turned back. As soon as I left that place, I said that's where I'm going. And they offered me a 1-year scholar and a 3-year pro. And then obviously I got a new contract now, but that was very big for me.
And following up on that, obviously you mentioned playing academy football. Just so for people who aren't, I guess, really know much about it here in Canada and elsewhere, how competitive do you think it is, and like what are the matches like? Obviously, sometimes you have guys from the first team playing in under 18, under 23, which is called Premier League 2. But how do you think it is? The environment, how professional, the fixtures, the travel, everything that goes into it.
The funny thing is when I was in Canada, I just left the age group before you started playing OISL. So before everything got really, really competitive, and there was a league and there was a table, and it was all about trying to be the best team in Ontario kind of thing. And in England, it's completely different from that age. From 12 to 16, there is no league. There's nothing but friendly games the whole year. You have a game every Sunday the whole year, and literally there just to improve and to try out things and to try and become a better player. So, like, for example, like if your left foot's not good enough, sometimes, the coach will come up to you saying, Liam, okay, this game, I want you to try and cross with your left foot as much as you can. So that's what you would try and do in that game, because because you don't need to win the game. It's all about just getting better and improving as a player. So that's kind of all it is from 12 to 14. And then, like you said, under 18s is when the league kind of starts, the under 18 Premier. And that's when you learn about winning and how important it is, winning, losing, and drawing games, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously under 23s is the PL2, which is a step below the Premier League. But it's great quality. Like you said, you can have anybody playing. 1 week, Pogba could be coming back from injury and Pogba could be thrown in the game. You never know who's going to be involved, who's going to play in the game. It's really competitive. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to, especially against the bigger teams, like us and Chelsea and Man United and City. When we play, the likes of Sunderland or West Brom or whoever it may be who's not a top 6 Premier League club, sometimes they want to win it more. And it kind of teaches you kind of how that would in the real world, like the real Premier League and stuff, like you're playing an FA Cup game against a League One team or whatever it may be, like they're going to want to beat you more than anything. So it kind of teaches you kind of how to kind of deal with that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And the UEFA Youth Champions League, the U19 competition, what's that like? You get to go to Paris and to Germany and all over Europe sometimes to compete against under 19 academies of other big clubs. What kind of stories do you have there, and how did your team do when you got to be a part of it?
Yeah. In the first year we played, we got to the quarter. We lost to Man City on penalties, which was unfortunate, but we did really well. We didn't lose a game the whole tournament until that point. For me personally, that's my favorite competition that I've ever played in football. It was obviously as a kid, you watch Champions League on the TV and you dream of it, and you love to kind of do that kind of stuff, and the fact that I got to play in it, even though it's the younger version, the youth version, it still felt so surreal, and it was just like one of those things where, you get to play against different players from different countries, and you get to learn how different players in different countries kind of play and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, it was a great competition. It was, like I said, my favorite competition that I've played since being in England. So. And
playing for Liverpool at youth, is there any, obviously it's a massive club, top 2 in England without a doubt, and very well known around the world. But is it kind of a pressure when you're kind of one of the promising forwards of the club at the under 18, under 20 level? When you have such a goal scoring rate, I'm sure many teams do a lot of multiple scouting reports per se, and obviously the media in Liverpool. When you live in a country like England, not Canada, but you live in a country like England when football is a religion. You have the press even covering youth games, which is something you don't see in Canada or other countries.
For me, it teaches you kind of how to deal with it in men's football, because you get little bits and pieces of it in 23s, 18th kind of football where you'll have your coach will come in and they'll say, okay, this player is good, watch and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of teaches you kind of how to kind of deal with that kind of stuff, all that stuff. But even when you go into men's football, if you're a good player on a team that's not great, you get player the whole meeting sometimes is so you got to learn how to deal with it and learn how to learn that people will kind of know how to play against you as you get older. So you got to switch it up and kind of change it up. Don't be so predictable all the time. And it's very pressure. There's a lot of pressure at times, because when you go into a game and a player kind of knows exactly how you play, on the spot, you kind of got to switch it up. So it gets it's hard, but as you get used to it more and more, it gets easier. But it's hard. But.
Now, internationally, you competed for Canada at all levels, U17, U20, U23, but the youth Toulon tournament in France, the U21 competition there, being a very prestigious tournament. How do you think that Canadian U21 side did fare, you think, against such top countries and that are bringing their best prospects?
I considering where we actually came in the tournament, I actually thought we did very well. That was the first time I've ever been with those boys. It's the first time I met Johnny. That was the first time, I met, Noble, all those kind of people. So just considering that we've never played together before, I think we did very well. In the first game against Portugal, who were the reigning European, we beat them, or didn't beat them, sorry, we tied. And it was a very, close, and, it was very competitive, and it was cool to see, players that I've played against in England, like Domingos Quarta, whatever his name, I think that's how I say his name, who played for Chelsea, then West Ham, now Watford. and all these other kind of players like Ruben Neves and all those players that are playing in the Premier League now, who played on that team, and yeah, we played against Turkey, who were a very physical team. That was a, and then we played against Japan in the last game, and we got unfortunate, only getting the tie in that game. But even in the 5th, 6th place game when we played against France, we're playing against players that are playing in League Two, every week really, and the fact that we did so well in every single game, I think, says a lot about how far Canada's come, with their players and everything. Really, it's great. I couldn't believe how. But yeah, it was a great tournament to be in. So.
Very good. England's FA approached you to play for the Three Lions. You declined that call up because you wanted to represent Canada. Can you remember the kind of when it happened, year and month, and how you became to be eligible for England?
Yeah, I have my passport, I have my citizenship, I have everything I need to have to play for England. I don't remember exactly the day or the month when it happened, but I remember, I think it was under 16s. Where they came in and, they said, look, we're looking for you to come into a camp. We want to see how you do with the boys. We want to see if you're at the level and all that kind of stuff. They wanted to bring me in and play a couple of friendly games. And I remember I sat down with my dad and, because as a kid in Canada, my parents or my dad being English, we always support England, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of sat down, we were talking about it, and I ended up choosing to play for Canada because I honestly felt like, that's where I was born and raised. That's where, I learned how to play the sport that I love to play today. And I feel like I could really make a difference for the Canadian team as I got old. So, I felt like that was the right decision for me. And, I've never looked back on that decision to this, because, being an England youth international, can be good for the youth levels and going through maybe all this kind of stuff. You get, all these English fans that, see you playing for England and, they're like, oh, he's great. He's going to be great when he plays for England and all this stuff. But, the majority of the players that play for England, the youth, never play for England at the men's level. And, I just wasn't really interested in, turning down the opportunity I had with John with Canada. So I just feel like I just made the right decision,
Right. For you, it had to do with identity first, and then a bigger chance of playing at the senior level. So for example, you got your first senior call-up in March of 2018, a friendly in Spain versus New Zealand. John Herman's first game in charge after the coaching change there. How long did you knew when Canada was monitoring you? Was if you were on the radar, and did it surprise you at all having for example been one of the only players? Correct me if I'm wrong. You were the only player who wasn't playing first team football at the time in that camp.
Yeah, it was. I was honestly, it was a huge surprise. At the time I was on fire at Liverpool. To be fair, I scored 16 goals in the first half of the season, and I was doing really well. When my dad told me, I got that I was involved in the Canada camp, I said, "What, the first team or the 23s?" And he said, "No, the first team." And I was like, "Really?" I was shocked. I was so because I knew I got put into the pool, but I didn't think I was actually going to go. I thought I was going to be on standby or whatever, and and then I ended up going, and I remember the first thing John said to me when I got there. He's like, "Liam, you have no pressure. Do whatever you want. Literally, let's see how you get on with the group. I trust you. Just play free, no pressure." And I remember the whole camp, I played with no fear, nothing. I just went out there, to prove that I belonged there. And I have to say that's probably one of the highlights of my career. That game against New Zealand. I couldn't believe how well I played. That was my first time playing against ever in my life, and it was just one of those things where it was just like unspeakable moment, and I couldn't believe that I even represented, because it was a big dream for me too to represent Canada, and the fact that I got to do it was a big compliment for me. And yeah, but yeah, like I couldn't believe that I got the call up, let alone how well I played in the game and how I trained all week. So.
And considering at the same time that I'm guessing it must have felt also like a youth game, no? Because there was no fans in the stand. It was it's similar in that way, no?
Yeah, like that obviously helped, not having any fans in the stand because I'm kind of used to it. So obviously, some players when they get their first kind of appearance, there's loads of fans and there's chanting and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it kind of released the pressure a little bit off my shoulders, not having to kind of deal with fans for my first time. So yeah, I think that helped me a lot actually. No,
and since debuting for Canada, you have five international senior appearances. Obviously, you mentioned how you get along with the group. You and Scott Arfield appear to be close. He's someone that he's a Premier League veteran. Is he a mentor of yours? Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Canada plays home, or even in the region as well, you guys are put on the same flight together.
Yeah, we are. We always fly together. Me and Scott are really close. He is a mentor for me. If I have problems or if something that I need help with or whatever it is, if that's in camp, if that's out of camp, whenever it is, I feel that I can talk to him and he'll give me good advice and he'll help me kind of through it. Yeah, but like the relationship me and Scott have built over time has really helped me get through the camp and all that kind of stuff because I know I have a senior player who's the captain of our team who believes in me and who trusts me and who can help me become the player I need to become because he's played in Premier League, he's played in he plays for Rangers right now, he's played for great teams. He's a great role model and we got closer when I moved up to Scotland. Just like the talks we had and all that kind of stuff, really helped me and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're really close. We're good mates.
Right, and playing against him in first team as well. But you had and also sharing the same coach. Steven Gerrard, becoming your youth coach, and him being now coach of Rangers, coaching Arfield and so many players there. What was it like to have Steven Gerrard as a coach, a legend in the game, as well as seeing him later on when Kilmarnock faced Rangers?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of unspeakable when he first kind of turned up. When we first saw him, we were the year before he came in, and we were training, and he just turned up to one of our practices one day. We didn't know what was going on. He just turned up, and we were all like, "Holy, that's Steven Gerrard over there! Like, oh my God, look at him! He's over there!" We're all and like all of us are like freaking out, like, oh, like look, he's over there, like all that kind of stuff. And then he gets announced that he's our coach, and we're all like, holy, we're going to be coached by Steven Gerrard. That's crazy. And, the first day you go in, you're all nervous, because, you got one of the best English players to ever play is your coach and takes you back. He was honestly, like I say, in every single interview I have, he was honestly a great coach to me. He was my biggest influence, that a coach has had on me. He was a perfect balance of hard and soft. He knew how to get to me and how not, and how to push me to be better and everything. And I still say it to him to this day when I speak to him. Like thank you, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like honestly, Stephen was a great coach for me, and now I see him as a regular person, which is crazy to think about who he is. Sometimes you forget who he is really as you get to know him. But yeah, like he is exactly how you picture Steven Gerrard to be as a person. He's a great guy, but yeah.
Your loan to Kilmarnock of the Scottish Premiership. First professional, first team experience. Your first 9 appearances. You come off the bench. You finally get your first start. None other than the iconic Celtic Park, in front of 50,000 people. What's going through your head?
The first 9 games before that, I was playing really well. In my 7th game, I scored coming off the bench. And, I was unlucky enough that the next week was against Rangers. The game was against Rangers, so at the time, my coach, Steve Clark, didn't think I was ready to play in a game like that because it was my first time playing in front of that many people. But then I came on in that game and I did really well, and then we played St. John's Stone the game after that, and I played really well in that game as well. And, he pulled me aside before and he said, "Look, Liam, I'm going to start you in the Celtic game. I trust you and I think you'll do well." And, when he told me that, I was like, holy, like, wow, like, it's crazy to think about it. I'm playing in front of 55,000 people, and it's going to be my first, like, ever start. So, obviously, before the game, you have a little bit of nerves in there, but then as soon as I get to the stadium, full focus, I'm not worrying about the fans or anything else. I'm just worrying about me playing, like the good thing about that I have in my body is, I'm really good at like switching off and, not paying attention to the things around me. So I can focus, directly on, playing and playing well. So I don't tend to get nervous much, at all really anymore. And yeah, that helped me with that game. But I remember going out and walking out and, hearing them saying, "You'll never walk." And, it made me think of Liverpool, the kind of atmosphere that I'm dreaming to play in on a regular basis. So yeah, it was very kind of weird at first, because I've never like had so many chants, like I've never heard the chants from the pitch, be that loud before and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I thought I played well in that game as well, actually. So I think I did well. So yeah.
Now, played a couple more games after that. 2018-2019 season finishes. You're back again in the summer. You come back for a second loan. How different was the first one compared to the second?
It was a lot different. Steve Clark was a great manager too. He also knew how to get the best out of me and all that kind of stuff, and he really helped and motivated me and all the boys there, to be honest. Even to this day, I'm sure they still talk about him because I know when I was there for my second loan, they talked about him all the time. The coaching style was different. We had an Italian manager, and it was different, and it was harder to adjust to. I still think, despite all that happened that year, I still think I did all right. My goals and assists weren't at the place where I wanted them to be, and all that kind of stuff. But it was harder. Like I was saying earlier, teams end up having meetings that are mostly about you and what you're going to do. So that was hard for me to adjust to, and because I would go into games last year where people didn't know how I play, so I was beating players easily and all that kind of stuff. But now going into it again the year after, there'd be meetings about what I do, how I play, and then it would get more tricky for me to beat the players because they would know what I do, and I had to learn how to adjust to players knowing what I'm going to do. So that, although I didn't play the best of my ability, I feel like that season helped me more than my first, because I learned that, people are going to have meetings and they're going to end up knowing how you play. So you got to learn how to adjust and learn how to, kind of work around that. So yeah, that helped me a lot.
Right, scouting and video and such. But in those 2 loans, you played 36 games totally. Just tell me, what's after 36 games, is there one moment that stands out? Maybe the professional goal, the first one.
Yeah. My first goal for Kilmarnock 100% stood out for me. It was a rainy night in Scotland, and I didn't the game wasn't going too well. My team wasn't doing great at the time, and St. Marion at the time were at the bottom of the league, so it was a bit worrying. I remember my coach brought on me and this guy Connor McElhenney. He brought me on longer than normal. He gave me 20 minutes instead of 10. And, I came on and I was energetic, and I ended up obviously scoring that. And I just remember that I just couldn't believe it. Like it was like one of those moments that I couldn't talk about. It was just like the feeling that you got scoring your first goal. It was just unbelievable. It's something that I've wanted my whole life, and to score my first professional goal, and when it came, it was just like wow, like I couldn't stop smiling the whole day, the whole night, and it was definitely just that moment of me there at Kilmarnock, 100%. So
you're recalled in January to the big club. You only had to wait a little over a month, to get in action in February. You make your first ever start for Liverpool in a 1-0 victory over Shrewsbury Town in FA Cup play, fourth round. Tell me, what does it mean to you to have become the first Canadian to ever play for Liverpool, to have entered the club's history book, for club and country?
Yeah, it was crazy. I got recalled knowing that FA Cup game was going to go on, and my coach wanted the strongest team possible for that game. So when I got put in, I was, again, before the game I had a little bit of nerves, and then when I got to the game, I switched off, fully focused and try and just kind of deal with it. But obviously that game ended up not being on TV, all that kind of stuff. And so many fans and so many people turned up, and it was crazy. It was basically the under 23s playing, and you literally had the full the full stadium was there. 60,000 people were just there cheering us on, and it was ridiculous. Like nobody expected the stadium to be full before the game, and it was. And the fans of Liverpool were honestly unbelievable that night, and in general they're unbelievable. Just the way that they were supporting us and cheering us on and all that stuff. And when we scored the goal, I just remember just being like, wow, we're gonna beat these guys, like that's crazy, because they're like a League One team. Most of us haven't played a professional game before or started for Liverpool yet. So it was just one of those moments where, again, speechless. And it was just an unbelievable moment, and I'm so proud of how far I've come. To be able to make my debut for Liverpool, and hopefully I can get some more appearances under my belt this season, and see what happens from there. So, yeah.
You said it yourself, League One side. You and many youngsters played your first minutes that day for the first team or professionally in that context. Did anything that Jurgen Klopp say after the match?
Not that. He, we did hear that he did say well done and he's proud of us. The whole time, we had James Millar, who was there supporting us and helping us, get through that game. And that was really touching from all of us, having, James Millar come in. He was one of the captains and help us, win that game. Before the game, he was being very helpful, talking to us about how how just don't worry, just go out there, just enjoy yourself, just take in the moment. If you win the game, you win the game. If you don't, then it's okay. Like at least you guys tried, And it was unbelievable how a player of his stature just came, were just helping us all, and it really helped all of us believe that we could win that game. So
Obviously, you try and make the best of it, because you just don't know when that next opportunity to play for the first team is going to come.
Yeah, exactly. For some of us that would be the only game we ever play. So we want to go out there with no regret and try and get the result, and we did. So I'm very proud of everything that we did to get to that point and to win that game. So it was great. It was a great experience and a great moment in my life. So yeah.
you're training with world-class players week in, week out, which can only really make you better in any player's case. You said previous interviews that Joe Gomez, attacking against that guy is the most challenging. Is he still the particular player that stands out to you, whether it's the skill on the pitch or the mentality off it?
Yeah. If I'm going against who's the hardest player that I've played against, who is who I just really struggle to get around. Yeah, to be Joe and Virgil, obviously. Van Dijk, since he's come and he's been unbelievable. Like you can just see it, even how much command, how much control he has over the back line and how much it helps. But yeah, even I have to mention the front three. Obviously Salah, Firmino, and Mane. They're obviously again world-class players. Some of the best in the world. And just training with them and just watching them sometimes is just it even like that helps. Just seeing what they're doing and training and all that kind of stuff. And then you have people like Henderson and Milner and people like that who help you and really try and help you improve and all that kind of stuff. So overall the team dynamic is unbelievable. Like the way they want to help the young players and to improve and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Christian Pulisic, American player. He said when he was breaking into Dortmund's first team that he kind of looked at it as, Mario Götze, those kind of players told him, and even other coaches as well, his youth coach told him that, you have to go into it, as a player. You cannot go into it as a fan thinking, oh my God, I'm facing, so and so. In your case, Van Dijk, Salah and all these great players, is it kind of, because you are just so young, age 19 and 18 before, is it kind of, doing that switch that you are no longer just a fan, even though at the end of the day, everybody who is involved within the game is still a fan at the end of the day?
Yeah. For me, when I first went there for the very first time, I was very shy. When you go there for the first time and, you're there with all these you're like, wow, look, it's this, and this. And yeah, you're 100% right. Obviously, I had my little moment where I was like, wow, it's these guys. But then as soon as the warm-up started, you're focused, again, you're focusing and in my head when I first went there, it was, okay, if I'm good enough to be there, then okay, I can be as good as these players. So it wasn't a thing where I was like, oh, these guys are too good for me. It was, I can get as good as these guys. I just need to keep going, right? So that was just kind of my mentality when I was there. Obviously, I'm sure everybody has their moments. Like Fonzie said before, when he first walked in the changing room and he saw Robin, he was like, wow, it's Iron Robin. Like, my name, and it's just but then after that moment, that you got to be a player first, and you gotta know that you can compete with these guys, and you gotta try your best. So, yeah.
Right. If you respect them, they'll respect you. It's about mutual. Obviously, a lot of uncertainty here going on with this virus, but I'm sure football will go back to normal as we know it. Liam, what's next for you? Is it stay with Liverpool or go on loan to somewhere else in the fall, in August, I should say? And should that happen, is there a league that you'd like to go in particularly? You've said in the past that you'd like to go to English Championship, but I'm sure maybe there's other options like the Belgian Pro League, Eredivisie, Scandinavia, Switzerland, just to name a few destinations, or whatever club you feel is the best fit for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go back on loan. I don't think I'm ready just yet to be involved regularly with Liverpool's first team. So I think a loan would be the best thing for me. And yeah, like you said, the league I'm aiming to kind of play in is the English Championship. For me, out of the top 5 leagues, I think it's one of the hardest leagues in the world. You got a game every 3 days. There's not much time to rest. You're always traveling, you're always going, and I think it's a really good stepping stone in any youth player's career league. So because if you want to be at the top, if you want to be at Man United, Liverpool, Bayern, Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, whoever, like you're going to end up playing sometimes 3 games every day. If that's a Champions League, if that's, FIFA Club World Cup, whatever it may be. You might end up playing 3 games in a row. So the championship, I think, is a great stepping stone in any young player's career to get there. So that's where I'm aiming. But the Belgian league would be good. Eredivisie again, another great league. Maybe Bundesliga too. Anything like that. So yeah, that's just where I'm kind of aiming for. So we'll see what happens. But yeah.
Very good. And obviously, English Championship being the strongest second division in the world, you just have to look at the numbers. But you say you have plenty of options: 2 Bundesliga, Eredivisie, Belgium, and Scandinavia and whatnot. There's no question that Canada's national team is more competitive than it's ever been. Specifically at the forward position, every player wants to be involved at every single camp. If whether you are in or you aren't in the 23-man squad, we're approaching the 2022 World Cup cycle in CONCACAF and worldwide. How are you feeling both individually and collectively towards the future and your chances, to be, to always be involved, and sometimes you just miss off the cutoff?
Yeah. As a team, I think 100%. I think we're going to qualify for this World Cup. I have no doubt about it. The boys have no doubt about it. We're all 100% focused, and that's our goal, is to qualify for this World Cup and, to prove to the world that, we are a footballing country and that we will become, like the US, like the Mexicos, and try and compete, and try and win a game in the World Cup, try to get out of the group stage, try and go as far as we possibly can. But yeah, individually, I want to be involved every single time. I never don't want to be involved. Even if I don't play, whatever it is, I always want to be there. I always want to be in and around the team. But yeah, I'm hoping this year, I can get a few more starts and a few more appearances and hopefully help the team as much as possible to get to our goal, which is qualifying for the World Cup. So.
Excellent. I'm sure that CONCACAF qualifying system will change. But obviously, Tokyo 2020 now been postponed to 2021, but keeping its brand name as Tokyo 2020. The U23s, I know that it was going to happen in March in Mexico, Guadalajara. Obviously, that tournament went outside the FIFA window. I'm sure you want to play in the Olympics. You are 20 years old. The eligibility is 97 and up. So you are eligible as part of that core, that group that there is. But like Alphonso Davies, like Jonathan David, yourself and others, you are playing first team football and at the age of 23 and under, 22 and under. You are playing first team football, so obviously the qualifying team is going to look different than perhaps the best squad. But I'm guessing, should your club give you permission, you want to play for the U23s and have the dream to play in the Olympics, no?
Yeah, of course. I do want to play in the Olympics. It is a great achievement. Not many people in the world can say they're an Olympian. But yeah, like you said, I'm sure the qualifying team would be very different from the actual team that would go. And I would be happy to do either one. As long as we get there and as long as we can do it. I would be more than happy to do that. But yeah, really, that's kind of it, I guess. But yeah.
To finish off, describe what it's been to get here so far and what you want to achieve. What's your biggest dream?
My biggest dream is obviously to play in a World Cup and to, hopefully get as far as possible, if that's in the knockout stages or whatever it may be. I also want to play at the highest level I possibly can, be a Champions League winner. That's another one of mine. my achievements, and yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm dreaming for. So I guess only time will tell. So yeah.
Any young player listening right now, what's one piece of advice you give them?
One piece of advice I can give anyone is don't listen to what other people say. You know, as a kid, because I was so obsessed with getting better and improving at football. I used to be called weird, and I used to be called names and all that kind of stuff when I was a kid. To be the best player in the world and to be a top level player, you have to be you have to be weird in that way. You have to be weirdly obsessive with getting better and becoming the best player, or hopefully one of the best players in the world. Because that's everyone's dream. So I would just say, like, don't listen to what other people say and just put your head down and work as hard as you can. So yeah.
Liam, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it here at Canucks Abroad, and we wish you truly the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.